Hi. Okay, I will be talking you through your imprint neutral spine, your C curve, our rollback, and what tucking your tailbone under means, and knitting your ribs in together. These are all Pilates terminology, which, if you've ever been to a Pilates class or if you're thinking about going to a Pilates class, you will be hearing these terms, especially tabletop and knitting your ribs in together. And just hopefully gives you some idea of how to better build awareness in you and your body, your mind and body like connection, so that you can have a successful class. So I'm going to lay down and I'm in neutral spine right now. You can tell I'm not arching my back. This is extension of my spine, and we want to have our neutral spine, which is just me. If I were to lay down, nothing, not paying attention to my back. This is my back in neutral spine. There's a little bit of space, but I'm relaxed, I'm comfortable, and there's nothing else going on here. And then I have the imprint of my spine. So you're really doing this like motion as if you were going to lift your hips up, you're imprinting your spine by tucking the tailbone under. So we have extension, neutral, imprint. So from here, we're going to go into our tabletop position. You're going to hear tabletop a lot because that's just where we usually start in tabletop position. So tabletop is legs off of the ground, bent 90 degrees, and you're going to connect them together like they're one big leg. Your knees are directly over your hips. Your spine is going to be either in neutral, but sometimes you're going to feel more comfortable being an imprint, but still want to make sure that your knees are directly over your hips, that your legs are glued together, and that your toes are pointed and also glued together, and your heels are off of your butt. So you want to make sure that your shins are parallel to the ceiling, heels directly over the hips, and heels off of your butt. Knees directly over your hips, and then heels directly off of your butt. And this is our tabletop positions. This is where we usually start to do any sort of core work. So we've gone through imprint, neutral spine, our tabletop position, and now I want to talk a little bit about our C curve slash rollback. So we're sitting up nice and tall, feet are flexed, so your toes are looking in towards your shins, and your legs are hips width distance here. In your spine, you're sitting up nice and tall. You're in this like neutral spine here, and we're gonna go into our rollback. Your hands are out in front of you, your shoulders are down your back, your gaze is forward, chin's off of your chest. Right, so you're sitting up nice and tall. You're gonna tuck your tailbone under. So, what does tuck your tailbone under mean when you're sitting up nice and tall? Right? We use that terminology a lot because we want to make sure that you're getting the abdominal in the actual exercise. So when you're here, you tuck your tailbone under. You're really thinking about bringing your pubic bone towards your face, and you have this like motion of the back of the spine. You have arms out in front of you, palms facing each other, shoulders down the back, feet are flexed towards you, and you're going to tuck your tailbone under as if you were imprinting your spine if you were laying all the way down. And then from your low back, engaging into the abdominals, you're going to start to roll back and you sit up nice and tall. So that is called our C curve. You tuck your tailbone under first, and then you start to roll back. You go onto your low back, then you go down to your mid back. And then if you can keep your spine and your pelvis neutral, which means if you can keep your hips still without swaying from side to side or back and forth, that's how low you go, right? Keeping shoulders out of the ears as well. And then you restack shoulders over hips. So you tuck your tailbone under and you start to roll back on your mat. This is our C curve because our entire body is making this like capital C-like position. Your feet are still looking in towards your shin, your feet are still flexed, and you have abdominal engagement. And then you restack, exhale, start to roll back halfway. And this is your C curve. This is all you need to do, right? You're really engaging the abdominals by tucking the tailbone under. And then we can go into our other term, which is knitting the ribs in together. What the hell does that even mean? The next term is going to be knitting your ribs in together. We hear it a lot in our exercises because we really want to make sure that we're activating the abdominals and not moving through like our back or anything else. We really want to engage the abdominal by knitting the ribs in together, right? We say that a lot as instructors. And what that really means is if you're sitting up nice and tall and your hands are on your ribs, think about breathing into your hands. Feel the ribs expand into them. And then on your exhale, you're going to feel your ribs move down your midsection, down your stomach, and you're going to feel them escape your hands. You fill up. This is our dynamic breathing also in Pilates, but you exhale and you feel the ribs go back into your midsection. So if your hands are on your ribs, knitting the ribs in together means on your exhale, your ribs are in down your body. And that's what we mean when you're knitting your ribs in together. You want to make sure that you're not flaring the ribs forward. So you're not like sucking in. If you're sucking in your stomach, your ribs are flaring forward, and that's not engaging the abdominals. If you exhale and you knit the ribs in together, so you have that exhalation, you're breathing out through the mouth, your ribs are down your stomach, and you don't really feel them in your hands anymore, that's when you know that you've knitted your ribs in together. It might not look like much, but you're gonna start to feel it and build that body awareness. So if we're laying down, the same thing. I'm in neutral. Let me go into that tabletop position. All right, knees above our hips, shins parallel to the ceiling, heels off of our glutes. Feet are pointed. I want to knit my ribs in together. So let me exhale from the back of my throat. And you're going to see or feel your abdominals start to engage just by knitting your ribs in together. That just means that you're exhaling from the back of your throat. Again, you're in tabletop position. Your spine is imprinted or neutral, whatever feels more comfortable for you here. But I'm going to work in imprinted because I feel like I can get more lower abdominal engagement if my spine is imprinted. So then here, I don't have my ribs. My abdominals are not activated. So I want to exhale. Now my abdominals are nice and activated. It didn't look like anything, but my ribs are knitted in together. If you're sitting up nice and tall and you want to knit the ribs in together, you can just do that motion, right? Right now, have me neutral. I'm fine. I'm just breathing. Knit the ribs in together. That audible exhale coming from the back of my throat. And my abdominals are now engaged. So if I'm in that tabletop position, I would engage my abdominals, knit the ribs in together. And then we can go into any other type of work that we want to do, that it being our series of fives or our TA activation. Now you have a better understanding of your C curves, your imprint neutral spine, and your tabletop position, knitting your ribs in together and tucking your tailbone under. And hopefully you can make sure that when you're in class, you pay attention to these terms and you have a successful Pilates class.